Hello and welcome to today's edition of The Man Who Knows Everything, live on Industry or Residential Arts Centre's Facebook page. I am the man who knows everything, and the way that this works is every day I give you a topic to research, and then you've got 24 hours to find out as many facts as you can about that topic. And then the next day I appear again at 1 o'clock. And I'll give you my 10 facts about that topic as well. And then if you've got that fact, you can cross it off your list. And if I defeat you by naming all of your facts, then I'll beat you. If you've got a fact that I don't give, then you've technically defeated the man who knows everything. But as we know, they're just facts I haven't mentioned rather than stuff I don't know, because I do know everything. So yesterday was all about Morse code. Now, Heather, our art tutor, actually pointed out in the comments yesterday that Mr. Morse, the person who invented Morse code, actually wanted to be an artist. And you can have a look on the internet and there's some really fantastic paintings by him. But he became more famous for inventing Morse code, which I think is a pretty big achievement in his own right. So, thank you very much, Heather. If you've got any suggestions about topics you want to challenge me on, you can get an adult to help you. Stick those in the comments below. And if you've got a fact that I don't give, you can stick it in the comments below as well. So because yesterday was all about codes and Morse code, we were inspired to choose another person who invented some brilliant code, which we still use to this day. And that was Ada Lovelace. So here are my 10 facts about Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace. So, fact number 1 is that she was born in 1815 when she had a very famous father. Now, you are very good to her, actually. When she was born, he said something like, "Oh, what an instrument of torture I have in you," and didn't have anything to do with her throughout all her life. And then he died when she was 8. So she was just raised by her mother, and her famous father was Lord Byron, the poet. And he was a romantic poet. Now, I'm not a big fan of talking about famous women in relation to who their famous father was. But it's important because of what fact number 2 is. So fact number 1 is that she had a famous father, the romantic poet, Lord Byron. And so, fact number 2 is that because her dad wasn't very good to her, and he was a romantic poet who just flitted off and had an affair with an actress. Ada Lovelace's mother didn't want her to have anything to do with the arts. So instead, she immersed her in maths and science. So because she was scared that her daughter would follow in her father's footsteps, so she immersed her in maths. Now, Lady Byron, Ada Lovelace's mother, was a brilliant mathematician in her own right. In fact, she was known as the Princess of Parallelograms. True fact. So, Lady Byron was a mathematical whiz, the Princess of Parallelograms, so she immersed her daughter in maths and science, which was quite unusual at the time because in 19th century England, little girls were supposed to just learn how to play the piano and do a bit of cross-stitch, embroidery, that kind of thing, learn some nice dances. But instead, Lady Byron immersed Ada in the world of mathematics. So, fact number 3, at the age of 12 years old, Ada Lovelace drew up some designs for a flying machine. So she drew up all the charts, she did all the maths, and she got this idea of having a big engine, bit like a kind of flying horse, I suppose, a big engine that would operate these massive wings and somebody could ride on top of it. So she did this by studying the anatomy of birds. And so at 12 years old, she drew up a chart to conceptualize a flying machine. Fact number 4 was that the person who is known as the father of the computer was her mentor. So the father of the computer is a man named Charles Babbage. And at the age of 17, Ada Lovelace met him. He was an inventor and a mathematician. And so he became her mentor and they worked together on various different things. And Charles Babbage had got an idea for a computer. And so she helped him to put this computer together and used maths to think about how that computer could be programmed. And it was a computer designed to solve mathematical problems. So fact number 4 was that Charles Babbage, the father of the computer, was her mentor. Fact number 5, and this is where Ada kind of came into her own, because Charles Babbage just thought that a computer would just be able to do the maths bit and just figure out the answers to different equations, a bit like a calculator, whereas Ada Lovelace was the first person to predict that computers could do much more than just crunch numbers. She thought that it could do numerical calculations, but she thought that any bit of content, so it could be music, it could be pictures, it could be sounds, text, all of that could be translated into a digital form and manipulated by a machine. And so she thought that it could act upon other things other than numbers. So the father of the computer, Charles Babbage, just thought computers were going to be able to do with numbers. Ada Lovelace had the idea that actually it could manipulate anything, all kinds of content. Fact number 6 is something about her personal life, and I think it's connected to her mathematical brain. She was a bit of a gambler. So this is fact number 6. Ada Lovelace was a bit of a gambler, and she lost something like, I think it was £3,600 on a horse race. Because she and Charles Babbage used to pass a book between each other, and they thought they could figure out who was going to win an horse race based on maths. So they would do loads of different calculations to try and figure out who would win the race. But as you could tell, the fact that she lost £3,600, which was a lot of money back in the 19th century, you can't predict those kind of things in gambling. It's really bad, so don't do it. That was fact number 6. She was a bit of a compulsive gambler. Fact number 7 is that unfortunately, Ada Lovelace passed away at the age of 36 because she was very well. So she passed away at the age of 36. But this is an interesting fact. Charles Dickens, the author of things like Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, etc., he read to Ada Lovelace on her deathbed. So when she wasn't very well, Charles Dickens sat next to her and read from his books to her. And it was believed that Charles Dickens and Ada Lovelace met each other through Charles Babbage in around about the 1830s. So that was fact number 7, that Charles Dickens, the author, read to Ada Lovelace on her deathbed at the age of 36. Now, coincidentally, this is fact number 8. Her father, Lord Byron, actually died at the age of 36 as well. And even though she didn't have anything to do with him in her life, she was fascinated by him because obviously he was quite famous. So it's not just like he disappeared and she never heard of him again. He was a famous poet, so she was able to hear about everything he was getting up to. She was able to read all of his poems. So she became quite fascinated by her estranged father. And when she passed away at the age of 36 as well, it was her wish to be buried next to her father. So that is fact number 8, that she's buried next to her dad. And then fact number 9 is about her legacy. And it's a bit of a complex one because basically her ideas, it's still a lot of money now, it is, Jane? Jane has just commented that £3,600 is still a lot of money nowadays, but it was an absolute fortune back in the day, I tell you. So Ada Lovelace's legacy was a bit complicated just because people didn't really appreciate what she'd given to the world until like nowadays, really, because technology wasn't as advanced as Ada Lovelace's brain. So she got the idea that the computers could do all these different things, but we didn't have the technology to be able to put her ideas into place. So when eventually technology caught up, we were able to put all of Ada Lovelace's ideas into place. And this was around about in the 1950s, and she gained a new following in the digital age. Then fact number 10 is that there is a computer language named after Ada Lovelace in her honour. So in the 1970s, the US Department of Defense developed a computer programming language to supersede all these different ones, and they couldn't come up with a name with it. And then a commander suggested the new language should be called Ada in honour of Lovelace. In 1979, it was approved. And Ada, the language, is still used around the world today in the operation of real-time systems in aviation, in healthcare, transportation, space industries, infrastructure, finance, probably even the machine that you're looking at me now uses Ada. So that is the influence of this 19th century woman, an incredible woman who got off to a very difficult start with her absent father. You are very nice to her, Lord Byron. Poetry. Anyway, so that is Ada Lovelace, and those are my 10 facts. So cross them off your list if you've got those, and if you've got a fact about Ada Lovelace that I don't give, get an adult to help you, stick it in the comments below. Now, tomorrow's topic for 1 o'clock, you've got 24 hours, and because it's a bit of a grey, miserable day today, we've had a lovely run of lovely weather, I thought that's what our topic could be. So we're going to look at 10 facts, all to do with weather. Now, it's quite a broad subject, so there's a chance you might come up with a fact that I don't give tomorrow, but it could be anything to do with electrical storms, it could be to do with the wind, it could be to do with the water cycle and precipitation. Go wild. So you might have some knowledge already about the weather, you might have some books at home you can do some research with, or you can get an adult to help you research it on the internet. And I'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock for more information and 10 facts about the weather. So stay home, stay safe, stay creative, and I'll see you then.